From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8.
Now, the latest news.
Kylie Conway has the latest news. The top headlines. News you can use.
Please stand by.
Sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling. Now, here's Wish TV's Kylie Conway.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is the News 8 Daily 8 for Friday, July 16th. Have the rain gear ready, as off and on rain and storms will be the story of your Friday. Some isolated strong to severe storms possible during the afternoon into the evening for a good chunk of the state. We're going to top out in the upper 70s to low 80s. After weeks of repeated ITMate requests, we are finally expecting answers on the state's unemployment benefits. Wish TV has received more than 800 emails over concerns from people fearing that they have to pay the state back thousands of dollars.
Didn't make any sense. You don't pay people out and then turn around and say you got to pay it all back.
And then I get a notice they want all of it back. They want $10,000 back.
Everybody owes $10,000. That right there don't make sense.
ITMate took questions straight to the Department of Workforce Development, only to have the door closed on us. And this morning, the Department of Workforce Development will be holding a press conference at the Indiana Government Center, and the head of the department is expected to speak. This comes after days of requests from ITMate to hear from the department, since our team has been flooded with hundreds of people saying that the state is ordering them to pay that money back, even though they were eligible for the benefits. Other people tell us that they're being asked to repay more than what they actually received in pandemic unemployment benefits. So, along with hearing from the Workforce Development Commissioner this morning, the department's Chief of Staff and Chief Unemployment Insurance Workforce Solutions Officer will be speaking and hopefully have some answers to some of these many concerns. One thing the department has said is that they hope to resume the federal pandemic payments today. The state had stopped those payments, but the Indiana Court of Appeals ruled that the state government should reinstate them. Our ITMate learned people will receive back pay from when the program ended on June 19th. It's the extra $300 per week, plus expanding payments beyond 26 weeks, and will include self-employed and gig workers. You can rely on us, Wish TV, for watching this news conference as soon as DWD officials start. It's at 11 o'clock this morning. You can tune into Wish TV, wishtv.com, or you can watch their news app or Facebook page. ITMate will be there at the press conference, and we're going to have a full report for you on Wish TV at 5 o'clock tonight. And this morning, one Indianapolis man is getting ready for work at his new job. He is probably there by now, I would think. An employer saw our story on Giovanni Chavez and offered him a position. Wish TV has been following Chavez's story for weeks. He told News 8 he has a master's degree but couldn't find work after being laid off during the pandemic. The operations director for several UPS store franchises in central Indiana saw our report and offered Chavez a job. Now Chavez is training as a customer associate at a UPS store.
It was a big relief. It's amazing to go from everything that I've endured over the last year and a half, and to now to be really a part of something.
More than qualified. We hope to get him in our management track program and work his way up. I want to thank, Wish TV for putting this together for us.
I feel very grateful, and I feel in debt to him, so I have a lot to prove.
Chavez says he is happy to leave the face of unemployment label behind. He adds he hopes everyone else dealing with unemployment can find an open position. Canada plans to welcome American visitors next month as long as they're vaccinated against the coronavirus. Canada's border has been closed since the early months of the pandemic. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says the country's current vaccination rate would allow for a full reopening of our shared border mid-August. Trudeau says 80% of eligible Canadians have gotten at least one vaccine dose, and more than 50% are fully vaccinated. And COVID-19 cases are going up in Utah among children. This morning, health officials there are linking those cases to summer camps. In a Facebook post, the Utah County Health Department says it's seeing up to 10 outbreaks at camps each week. According to the department, low vaccination rates among kids is partly to blame. The department says most of the children at these camps are old enough for the vaccine, but just haven't gotten it yet. And parents are struggling with the question of whether those who are too young to get the shots should wear masks. In a post on social media, Dr. Ramiletti with Community Health Network says that all depends on your family's vaccination status.
The issue with children under 12 is they actually don't get that sick, but they can spread it. So if you have children under 12, if they're around vaccinated people, those that are vaccinated will not get the virus from the kids. And so they don't need to the children do not need to wear a mask if they're around a lot of people that are vaccinated. So if everybody in your house is vaccinated, children don't need to be wearing masks.
This morning, the Indiana State Department of Health reports that 49.6% of those eligible in the state have received both doses. And we have 3 breaking stories that we've been following all morning long in the fight against COVID-19, affecting sports teams and marking a return to one major pandemic precaution. The men's USA team will no longer play Australia tonight in Las Vegas due to health and safety protocols. So this was the exhibition game before the Olympics begin next week. But it could put those games into question. We don't know the specific reason, but we do know one player is already off the Olympic team, star Bradley Beal from the Washington Wizards, due to health and safety. Another player is under review, Detroit Pistons forward Jeremy Grant. One report says Grant didn't test positive for COVID, but he'll have to gather at least 2 negative tests the days before traveling to Tokyo. And a lot of Colts players will be taking COVID-19 tests since many haven't received a vaccine. One report says less than half of them have it. Indianapolis, Arizona, Washington, and the LA Chargers all had vaccination rates below 50%. That's from an anonymous source since the league hasn't actually published numbers. This brings on some disadvantages for the Colts, things like smaller travel teams and for unvaccinated players, daily tests, no team meals, no team media. And Los Angeles County is bringing back its mask mandate. The county recorded 1,000 new cases each day for a week. Officials call that substantial community transmission and say it's primarily the Delta variant. They're requiring masks indoors effective tonight. LA County is the nation's most populated county. This affects more than 10 million people. And the same thing is also happening in Northern California in Sacramento County. And today, COVID testing for some members of Indiana Task Force 1. The group is set to arrive back home this afternoon after 2 weeks at the condo collapse site in Florida. Team leaders confirmed several people on the team tested positive in Florida, and some have asked to be retested when they arrive in Indiana. Tests are mandatory for team members who have not gotten vaccinated. And recovery efforts at the collapse site are nearing an end. Crews have found the remains of 97 victims and are still trying to find 8 more. Officials say teams have removed more than 22 million pounds of debris. 19 people are indicted on federal charges related to a drug trafficking operation here in Indiana. Authorities are still searching for 2 people. The rest are charged after the raids that our mobile news tracker actually was covering Wednesday morning on Daybreak on Wish TV. We now know federal agents executed 15 search warrants in all. They seized 35 guns, $70,000 in cash, 14 pounds of meth, 1.75 kilos of fentanyl, plus cocaine and marijuana in these raids.
From the addictions of their fellow citizens and kill others to do so are in custody.
It was one step of many to make the city of Indianapolis a safer place for its citizens. And collectively, we were able to effectively shut down a criminal organization responsible for much of the violence around our city.
The FBI says 26-year-old Jason Betts led the organization. And today is the start of the Indiana Black and Minority Health Fair. This is the 35th year for it, but it is taking an extra year to celebrate the milestone. The pandemic canceled the event last year. The main goal is to improve access to health care for minority communities. And after the last year and a half, organizers say that is more important than ever. Each booth has a specific purpose, but for those who attend, there are some really great speakers, demonstrations, and panel discussions. Opening ceremonies for the fair started at 9 o'clock this morning, and it runs until 7 o'clock tonight. You can also visit the fair over the weekend from noon to 6 both days. We have all of that plus ticket information available under the multicultural tab of wishtv.com. Colleagues are reflecting on the life and service of a former state lawmaker and firefighter who was found dead this week. Dan Forrestal served 8 years in the Indiana House of Representatives. House Democratic leader Phil Giaquinta describes Forrestal as a friend, writing, "He was a great legislator and dedicated public servant who accomplished great things for his community during his time at the State House." Forrestal was 38. He resigned from office after an arrest last year on several charges. IMPD says he was found dead Wednesday at the Quality Inn near 86th and Michigan Road. As of now, authorities haven't released the cause of his death. And this morning, a date is set for a final legislative push on infrastructure. A vote next Wednesday will set up a series of deadlines that will ultimately decide whether the bipartisan plan has enough support to pass. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says it is time.
Everyone has been having productive conversations, and it's important to keep the 2-track process moving. All parties involved in the bipartisan infrastructure bill talks must now finalize their agreement.
If Schumer gets full support from every Democrat in the Senate, the bill could pass through the reconciliation process, which only requires a simple majority instead of the usual 60 votes. A group of Republican senators, including Indiana's Mike Braun, released a statement writing in part, "With our national debt growing out of control and Democrats dedicated to passing a 100% partisan blowout spending package totaling $3.5 trillion, we cannot support any additional deficit spending." And most Americans are having a hard time finding the products and services they want to buy. That's according to a survey from LendingTree. The company says 70% of Americans are struggling with shortages. The company interviewed more than 2,000 of its customers for the survey. 21% said they were struggling to find meat. 20% were having a tough time finding gas at gas stations. And 23% of parents said they were struggling to find a babysitter. 22% of people who visited restaurants say they've noticed unusually slow or poor service. And because of the shortages, the survey reports 54% of Americans are delaying big projects and purchases like vacations. 2 large hospital systems are choosing not to carry a controversial new Alzheimer's drug. Forbes reports that the Cleveland Clinic and Mount Sinai Health System in New York will not use the treatment. According to Forbes, a panel of experts at the Cleveland Clinic plans to wait for more data on the drug before reevaluating its decision. Forbes adds that Mount Sinai wants the Department of Health and Human Services to investigate the drug's approval and the drug-making company's ties to the FDA. The drug was granted accelerated approval by the FDA in June. And today is the final day of the Lemonade Stand fundraiser for Coburn Place. The organization had a virtual stand leading up to today. That's where you could see drawings. You can still make some donations there through the virtual lemonade stands. There are 2 actual lemonade spots to visit today. One is at Coburn Place at 38th Street near College Avenue. The second is at Christ Church Cathedral on Monument Circle. Both are open from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Organizers say the money raised helps children of survivors of domestic abuse get new clothes and shoes for school. An 18-year-old man is facing charges for shooting toward a vehicle in a case of road rage. IMPD announced Cameron Smith's arrest for what happened last week on Arlington Avenue. We talked about it here on the podcast and last week on Daybreak. Police in Indianapolis have filed at least 42 road rage reports already this year. They filed 63 in all of last year. And we are a week away from a new anti-gun and drug summit. City County Councilor Lakeisha Jackson is organizing the event. She says the goal is to break the cycle of gun violence. The councilor tells News 8's Demi Johnson that it's easy for children in her district to fall in a trap because of a lack of resources.
Neighborhoods decorated with crime tape and police lights has become all too familiar in the Circle City. But behind the scenes, there are people working to break the cycle.
These are truly supposed to be our future, and they're dying before us.
Councilwoman Lakeisha Jackson is talking about the city's young people. She says too many of them have fallen victim to gun violence.
I don't think it's up to them to figure this out. I think it's up for us as a community as a whole to figure out what we're going to do to help them. They need help.
That help is on the way through the Far East Side Youth Anti-Drugs and Gun Summit. Jackson is partnering with several community organizations to bring resources to teens and young adults at the Pathway Resource Center.
The city of Indianapolis is putting on a presentation of alternatives to drugs and alcohol, as well as making mental conflict resolution choice. What do I do if pressure comes up, or if I'm asked to get in a fight, or if I'm approached, or what happens if I'm asked to pick up a gun or use a gun.
Some of these programs have already shown progress for young people. Zaria Jenkins grew up in Jackson's district. She's now the youth council president, helping to organize anti-violence events.
I think seeing all the other youth, I'm like, okay, you see the journey that I took is the same journey you guys can take. It's not too late. You don't have to give up. You're not stuck anywhere. You just got to keep moving.
And Jackson will be right there, providing the push.
We want to give them the opportunity to stop and think for 1 second, because that's all it takes. Is a moment, is a second.
I'm Demi Johnson for Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.
And today, a citywide celebration in Fishers kicks off. Shop Fishers Summer Series is meant to encourage people to shop and eat locally. Organizers say about 70 restaurants, breweries, bakeries, boutiques, and fitness centers are taking part. Each is offering promotions and discounts. Shop Fishers runs through July 23rd. You can find a full list of participating businesses on our website, wishtv.com. Just look for it in that top section of our homepage. It's the As Seen on Wish TV section. The Children's Museum is offering a chance to live out Olympic dreams. It's hosting a run, jump, throw event from noon to 3 tomorrow. A coach with USA Track and Field will be there to teach track and field fundamentals. It all ends with a 100-meter dash named for famed Olympian Wilma Rudolph, who lived in Indianapolis for many years. The event is free with admission to the museum. The Indianapolis Indians are hosting the Omaha Storm Chasers again tonight, and the weather may once again be an issue here. Rain cut the game short last night. The Indians won 4-3 in 5 innings. Tonight's first pitch is at 7. You can watch it live on our sister station. That is MyIndy TV 23. And finally, to some business headlines. Emergency authorization for COVID-19 vaccines in children under 12 could come in early to midwinter. This is according to a Food and Drug Administration official. The move that could bring relief to many parents who've been unable to vaccinate their children. The agency hopes to then move quickly to full approval of the vaccine for this age group. MBA programs this fall will mostly pass on hybrid learning. Schools like Columbia, Stanford, and Boston University say Zoom calls cannot replace the in-person networking, trips, and social engagements that justify the high cost of an MBA. Business schools struggle with the hybrid model could serve as a warning sign to companies envisioning a blend of remote and in-office work for their employees. Canada will allow cruise ships to resume operations as of November 1st if they comply fully with public health requirements. Cruises were originally banned from Canadian waters until February of 2022. Resumption of cruises will be dependent on public health conditions in areas where cruises will be docking. Meme stocks are falling back down to earth. Consider Texas-based GameStop, which burst onto the investment scene in January, landed its champion on Reddit Wall Street Bets, a starring role in a congressional hearing, and potentially a movie or two. The video game retailer was still trading north of $167 per share at Wednesday, which is half of its June peak. A Dutch teenager is who will fly to space with Jeff Bezos after his hedge fund dad paid millions for the ticket. Oliver Damon is Blue Origin's first paying customer and replaces the anonymous auction winner. Damon has a pilot's license, is fascinated by space, and will go to college for physics this fall. Apparently, the auction winner can't go because some sort of scheduling conflict. So there you go. All right, everyone, have a great weekend. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
The News 8 Daily 8 is sponsored by LCS Heating and Cooling. Be sure to like and subscribe to this podcast on News 8 Daily 8 with Kylie Conway. And be sure to discover even more great podcasts now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.